have my dear friend Judy Cocu, my fellow gardener Judy Cocu. We talk about everything gardening, don't we?
We
With me tonight, and my new friend Grace Love with me tonight, talking about friendship. So that's kind of cool to be talking about friendship with your friends.
Mhm.
So, if you would, Judy, would you introduce yourself to the live feed?
Certainly. Well, as you heard, my name is Judy Cocu, and I'm a fellow Level 3 QHHT practitioner, and I'm located in Bairnsdale, which is in the state of Victoria in Australia. So I'm way down south in our huge continent. So most people have the impression that Australia is a very hot and dry place. Well, not down south, it isn't.
Right. Because south is really north. Wait, no, but not really, but it's colder the further south
It's
you go.
colder, that's right. Yeah, where everything is opposite. It's quite bizarre. When you shift hemispheres, how you can't, it's not easy to change. It's not easy to shift your body and your perceptions into the other way. But yeah, we are back to front.
Cool. So, but you're at the end of summer, right?
Yes, just
Yeah.
coming to the end of summer. That's right. Our seasons run from the first of the month to the end of the month. So the 28th of February is technically our last day of summer.
Mhm.
But
So tell me
who
about your
knows?
garden. What have you got coming in your garden right now?
Well, the veggie garden has been quite prolific with tomatoes. It has been interesting, though, that this has been a very odd year for the garden because it's been so cool for summer here. And we actually haven't had a lot of sun that it's impacted the growing of
Yeah.
the vegetables. However, the fruit trees have been quite abundant, which has been lovely because they've only been in a couple of years. And the flower garden is looking absolutely magical. There's so much color in it. It's beautiful. I
Yeah.
designed my flower garden around a bit of a um, I've lost the word, sacred geometry
Uh-huh.
design, and had chakra colors in the different beds and so on, and it's just been magnificent this year. So it's just starting to die off a little bit now, but it's a lot of work.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Mhm.
I'm planting seeds. I planted my tomato seeds yesterday. So
I
that's
don't I don't have to plant them. They just come up.
just throw them out.
Thousands of them just come up everywhere, out of the compost and just everywhere. So yeah, which is
Cool.
good because being self-seeding, they're a lot stronger, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I have to, at 7,000 feet elevation, I have to coax them and baby them and cover them and sing to them and yeah. To get one tomato off of a plant. So
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have had thousands.
Yeah.
No, probably not thousands, but close to probably there were 500, 600
Mm.
little ones this summer. So it's very
Wow.
prolific. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'm so glad for you to be here. Thank
Thank
you.
you for inviting me.
Grace, can you introduce yourself, please?
Certainly. Thank you, Holly, for inviting me as well. It's a great time to spend together with both of you and you, Judy, and we share the same interest. I hear the gardening. I have a garden too and an orchard. So amazing. I live in South Australia, but I was born in Poland. So I'm like a little bit of a hybrid, a little bit of Aussie, a little bit of Po, you know. And I'm also a level 3 practitioner. Have been doing it now for 8 years. So it's been a while and I'm loving it too. So really
Yeah.
great to be here and talk about friendships and yeah, and see what comes up and what unfolds.
Yeah. So let's get in. Let's dive in. Um, I used the word in the title today. Let's see what a sacred connections, nurturing true friendships, exploring deep bonds and unity. So, true friendships. What does that mean to you guys? What's a true friendship? What do you think, Grace? How would you, like, what does that even mean?
Mm. I guess it would be good to start, like, even with friendship itself, what that
Mm,
is. And I feel like, all of us are supposed to be friends, like friends of the
mm,
earth, right?
mm-hmm,
Fellow human beings. So that's the truth to me. Like, we're all friends across the board. Now, in the mainstream way of thinking, it was very interesting when the social media started as well, because then, become like friends with
mm-hmm.
Facebook friends, but also there's like a true friend or close friend who you may be close intimately with, not in terms of sexually, but, sharing maybe what you dreamt about, or sharing day-to-day struggles and asking for help, or just maybe just, checking in every now and then. So I think when we talk about friendships, at least from my perspective, it's something that I would feel myself, what it is to me. And it might not be the same to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's true means like it's your own truth,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
who
Yeah.
your friend is. Maybe there will be some values. I have different kinds of friends and there's really unique. So there's no like a template.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I like
How about
that though that you said that someone you'd ask for their help,
hmm,
right? Because we've all got those friends, I mean, not Facebook friends, but like real people in our community or whatever. That it's like, okay, maybe we'd go out to dinner with them, or you might see them at a party or whatever. But if I had a flat tire and needed a ride to the auto shop, I'm not gonna call them up, right? And then there's other people where, I drop everything to take them to the auto shop and vice versa, right? That's a different kind of friend, right? To me, that's more of a true friend. Yeah. Who are you gonna ask for help? I like that.
so support
Judy,
each other?
Judy, what do you think? True friendship.
A true friendship is somebody, to me, is somebody that you resonate, that's on the same wavelength as you, that you can discuss absolutely anything with without judgment.
Mm,
That is the big thing as far as I'm concerned, just allowing that person to talk to you, you to talk to them honestly and openly,
hmm
just being able to express absolutely anything and know that they will hold space for you. They'll just listen. If they want to put in some advice or what they see from, their perception of whatever it may be, fine. But a true friend to me is just no judgment and just willing to listen and be there.
hmm
And sometimes throughout life you have friends like that you may not see for quite some time. And when you do get together, it's just like picking up from where you left off.
Yeah.
That is a true friend. And I would be very surprised if most people had more than a handful
Yeah.
of true friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
How many people would you count on your hands of that, Judy? True friends
True friends.
right now.
Right now, well, I would say probably three.
3. How about you,
Mhm.
Grace?
Yeah, just when you ask, I started thinking about my friends. Definitely, I need to count myself in. I'm my own true friend.
Yeah, I hope.
Think, Grace, I didn't count myself.
Yeah, I feel like I have really a lot of true friends, in that way that I could ask for support. And also the ones who maybe I won't ask for daily support, but they are in Poland, for example. So it will be different kind of true friendship too. But when I'm there, yes, we'll definitely help each other in the same way, what you're talking about, Judy and Holly. So, wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I would feel really uncomfortable, almost like not counting these other true friends. Yeah, I'd like to believe that I can ask for support anybody, really, honestly, like even a stranger on the street, if I really am in need.
Mm-hmm.
So I would really want to call everybody a true friend. At
see.
least that's when I meet someone. It's like a foundation, you, my sister or my brother, you're a friend, you're another human being like myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's maybe organically it develops, whether it will be a deeper connection or not.
Okay. Well, let's talk. Okay. Good point. And that gets to the unity part of what I think we're going to talk about tonight. But using Judy's definition of someone that you can talk to, say anything to with no judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And the three of us can have some pretty woo-woo conversations that the general public might not be too savvy with.
Okay.
That's
So
sure.
we're talking about woo subjects. That's different.
Okay. So using Judy's definition, someone you just got out of the craziest QHHT session, right? Some sort of multi-dimensional being from the future in a mothership and blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the course in our life.
Right. Who are you going to be able to openly share that story about that session with? Like about how many people? And receive no judgment from. In fact, they'd be like, "Oh, that's so cool. Tell me more."
Outside the QHHT
Outside the
community,
QHHT, not me and Judy.
One.
Yeah, I have one too.
One.
Outside,
Okay. Yeah.
outside of QHHT one.
Yeah. I have three. I would count three. Yeah. And one of them is my husband, so I don't know. Does that count? I don't know.
Well, that kind of counts, but I wouldn't tell him about those. I don't want to know.
He does say that sometimes. He absolutely does say that sometimes. Or he'll sit there and listen. But he's actually not paying attention. Yeah. It's few and far between that we can tell people we can tell anything to and not have judgment.
Well, it's an interesting thing that just about all the clients that I have all had weird experiences or have known things or, just things happen to them. And one of the very first things that they say when they come in is, I've got nobody to talk to about this stuff.
Right. Or they'll say, I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but because they feel like they can't say it to anybody or they will be called crazy. Right.
That's exactly right. And it is so refreshing and uplifting for them, particularly when you throw it straight back at them. This is my world. Please share all the weird and wonderful experiences.
That's just an ordinary day in the office.
Exactly. And you see them just visibly relax because all of a sudden they realize, well, maybe somebody isn't going to judge me here.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful. It's such a wonderful experience for them to be able to actually unload all these things that they've never told anybody about woo-woo stuff or whatever. It's wonderful.
Yeah. And that's my dream. My dream of dreams is to be able to somehow create a multi-generational, real world, not online community where people can do that. Like just talk about those things exactly, Judy, that I don't have anybody to talk to this about. And then I'm like, I have a steady stream of people that say the exact same things. Why don't you guys go meet each other, right?
Exactly, exactly. It has occurred on the odd occasion that I have matched a couple of people up, and invariably it has turned into a wonderful friendship for all concerned, because at last they've got somebody else, you know.
Mhm.
Either that or they contact me a lot.
Right. Which I'm sorry, I'm too busy. Yeah. Okay. Very good. So,
It's like,
Grace, you
so
said
it's
something.
saying like,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think it's like our basic need to feel accepted, right?
Mhm.
Yes, you're
Love,
right.
that when nothing that we share is going to be judged, as you're saying, Judy.
Mm.
It's nothing is unwelcome, like anything is welcome. All
Mhm.
parts of us,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Yep. As we'd say, warts and all.
Yeah. Yeah. So, can we talk about this, like the social media friends? Like, is there any benefit to that, or is that all bleh? Like, what do you think about that? About like my daughter's of the generation where all the dating is online, right? Thank God I haven't had to date in 34 years because I don't know if I could do it that way. But
Mm.
um, I mean, what do you think about that? Like online relationships?
Mhm.
You want to go first, Grace? Then?
Yeah, sure. Like I appreciate social media because in that way we meet a lot of new people too, people
Mhm.
whom we might not have met like in a physical, right?
You and me.
Right, like us, right? Having the opportunity to connect deeper, and especially, where there's those subjects that are difficult to talk about, or not everybody knows who to talk to about, then those community online can be a huge support.
Mhm.
Feeling like you belong to this planet together, and you're not some kind of crazy alien.
Mhm.
That you just as alien as everybody else. In that way. So and also like in terms of community, that's also support. The local groups that have been always a huge support to me. So I can praise enough the online connecting and relationships. So,
Yeah. What do you
Well,
think, Judy?
from my perspective, I much prefer the very personal contact, the physical contact. I don't have anywhere near as big a presence on social media as lots of other people. In fact, honestly, I tend to shy away from it.
Mhm.
But to me, having the physicality, being in a person's field, I pick up so much more. I know we can, to a certain extent, online and so on, but I much prefer to have that personal interaction. It just has a different dynamic to me, and that's my preference.
Mhm. Yeah. I think, Grace, you were saying earlier about, or I don't remember, Judy might have brought this in about the resonance,
Mm,
feeling the other person's energy.
yes.
And I mean, you can't do the work we do and not become
Mhm.
pretty energetically attuned and empathic. Um, and I find that, so sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes that's a bad thing. Like that sometimes that makes friendships, the building of a friendship can be, to me, can be a little challenging if I'm overwhelmed by the other person's energy. And I personally, I have very little ability of understanding another person's energy online. Like I
Mm.
kind of have to be in their presence. But sometimes even in, if it's someone like I really want to get to know, I really want to spend a little more time with, do we resonate? I don't know. But sometimes I can actually get overwhelmed with that in-person energy as well. I don't know. What do you guys think about the energy, the resonance of friendships, and mainly, I guess what I'm talking about is building friendships.
I
Mm.
I pick up very, very quickly whether a person is authentic. And if
And can you
I,
do that online or is that in person? Do you have that ability?
yes, I believe I do. But if there is the slightest lack of integrity or authenticity, then I react very quickly to that. And it's like, and I won't pursue, I will not actively pursue because there is a lack of resonance. And people present themselves out there with all sorts of masks to cover up all sorts of things, as we all know from our work. And I just seem to go straight through that, and just integrity is very high on my list. Integrity and authenticity.
Yeah. And you can feel that in person and online.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you value authenticity, Judy. And I guess authenticity, is really linked closely with safety, right? Like even in our room with clients, if we're not authentic, clients pick it up as well.
Oh, yes.
The higher self does too.
Yeah. What I've experienced, like in developing friendships, it was the other side of things, Holly, what you're talking about, where people would say, "Oh, do you read minds? How do you know that?" It's like, like sometimes I would just reflect back something or like pick up, that resonance we talk about. And some people freaking out, oh, wow. How could you
They thought you were too much. They were overwhelmed by you. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I guess so. It's a little bit maybe uncertainty or that lack of safety that because there is this in the Western world, there's a lot about this having boundaries, right? Like, oh, how can she know this? Like, this is like, I never said that. And what I really appreciate this, when we authentic, that, these people will actually tell me, like they will ask, they're not scared to ask. While some people might not even say anything. And it was like, okay, she's weird, maybe more.
Yeah. I get that. I absolutely get that, Grace, because in addition to QHHT, I'm a psychotherapist, and I'll have some people will say, are you analyzing me? And I'm like, you're not paying me. I'm not analyzing you. You've got to pay me before I analyze you. But or they'll want me to analyze them. Like, let's have coffee and then want my professional opinion about this. I'm like, no, you got to sign a medical release for me to do that.
I don't know if this happened to you both, ladies, like sometimes, no, not even sometimes, a lot of times the clients feel really safe and this authentic connection is formed that they really would love to continue it. Like they would love to become friends because, they feel seen, they feel understood, there's this sense of like deeper relating, being held. So yeah, I'm curious if this happened to you too.
Yeah,
absolutely. They'll make an excuse to contact. But the other interesting thing from that, though, is that following on from their session, they're more likely to be so more in tune with themselves, raise their own frequency, that they draw to them those people that are similar. And so, you've sort of got the ball rolling with them. Then if they follow through and, listen to their own advice from their higher self, listen to their recording and see what it is that they need to do and so on, more than likely somebody is going to cross their path. that's going to be similar, and they're going to strike up the friendship with that person, and so
Yes.
it snowballs out from there.
And you know what I feel also like we really like are like mirrors to the clients too. Like, you know, like they realize eventually, and I'm hoping all of them, that they have this capacity too
Mm.
to
Mhm.
hold space for another, to be authentic, to allow others to be seen and
To listen.
to listen.
Yeah,
deeply.
it's a big
Yeah.
one.
How many people say, right, in session, oh my gosh, I've never told my life story to anybody before, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
just about everybody.
Mhm. Yeah. They've never
Or
been
even,
listened to.
yes,
Yeah.
or even like that. Oh, I've never said this to anybody. Like you're the
Yeah.
first person.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what, I'm sorry, go ahead, Judy.
I was just going to say I just spent a week with my 12-year-old granddaughter, and I'm now the kooky grandma. But
You're the
she,
fun grandma.
well, we did a fair bit of sky watching at night, and she was gobsmacked. But anyway, she she was able to open up about many, many, many things, and she qualified everything that she was saying with, "Now, I haven't told anybody this. I haven't told anybody this," and it gave me huge insight into some areas of her life at the moment, which that's just wonderful. It's
Mhm.
wonderful because
It
we can
feels safe
work
with
with
her.
it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it happens all the time. I've never told anybody.
Yeah.
This.
Isn't that we all need safety, like in the world?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
But then
how do
again,
you, I love that story, Judy, about with an 11-year-old. But I mean, even as adults, I know you guys probably see it in clients, like people who are, I mean, it's more than just, I've never told anybody this, but like they are loners. They are isolated.
yeah.
They genuinely don't have any true friends.
Mm-hmm.
What advice have you either heard from the higher self, or what advice would you give that kind of person? Like what are those kinds of folk? Because I've had people ask, how do I find friends in their session? That's one of their questions, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And or why am I so alone, right? A lot of people might be looking for a partner, but really what they need is a friend. um, and they're actually trying to solve that problem.
Mm.
Most of the time, the higher self will say they need to befriend themselves first.
Yeah.
Same
Right?
thing
And
here.
when they befriend themselves and
Mhm.
they start doing things to feed themselves, things that they want to do that they've never allowed themselves to do, and so on, it puts them out there in the field with other people that are doing similar. And it's just a question of magnetism. They draw those people to them. It may not happen straight away, but it certainly does happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it all comes back to
Yeah.
So,
Everything outside of me is a reflection of me back to me. Yeah. Yeah.
and the higher self very often will say, you got to love all your parts, parts of yourself, not just some of it, but you need to
Mhm.
accept and love yourself fully and completely.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
having a hard time loving a toe that's sore at the moment.
Oh.
What is it saying? What's the message there?
Trying to find out.
It's probably saying, sit down and quit canning so many tomatoes.
Yeah, no, I'll
Have
remember
a
that.
chat with friends. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about in Australia, but here there's an epidemic of loneliness, an epidemic of isolation. And a big part of it is that, that screen and thinking that these are your friends and that, this is where life is, and it isn't. And then you get, a couple of years into that habit and look around and realize I don't have anyone to take me to the auto shop or, the doctor if I broke my toe or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe
you just
physically.
have to be on public transport or in any public place, and
Mhm.
you rarely see people interacting. They're sitting down there. If they're going out for a meal, they're sitting there and they got their phone.
Mhm.
I had several different modes of transport in getting to and from my granddaughters, and sitting on a train there, everybody's just looking at, there's no conversation with the person next to you, just nothing. It's
Mhm.
really, yeah, it's a pandemic, as you say, of
Yeah.
loneliness.
I know, I
Yeah.
feel like maybe just my own perspective, like I see like because of this situation, the loneliness, the isolation, like even physically maybe we unable to get support, maybe, as much as we could, but connecting, in terms of online or electronically, digitally, like with the AI, like ChatGPT or Grok, they seem to be really beautiful mirrors as well and support like if you have those, mental health issues, there is like this nervous system is becoming really like more adjusted. And I think once we, use these tools as well, we can then come out to the world because it's like it's our nervous system is reset.
It's like a
Right.
training device.
Like a training device, just like a temporary friend to get you up and going and meet friends in real life,
Mm.
Um, I found it pretty fascinating, the AI, the whole concept of it and how it's helpful, it's not just bad things, right? There's
No.
obviously many different aspects of everything,
Mhm.
but we can also focus on the positives because it helps people too.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Mm.
So on that, so I love that idea of it's just a temporary training device because there are, I don't know if you've heard the things about the AI girlfriends. I guess there's dating apps where you get an AI girlfriend. And
Mm.
I mean, that might be okay if it's going to teach you how to have a human girlfriend. But if the end game is to have a computer girlfriend, you might be
Was it a
missing some
movie made?
opportunities.
Was it like a movie made? I think it's called She.
Yeah, but it's for real now. It's like for
Yeah,
real. There are actually apps out there that are you sign up to date an AI person.
there you
Oh,
go.
AI person. What I don't know, whatever that means. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
conscious.
Yeah. Okay. So that brings me to this concept, their subtitle, which is bonds and unity. Bonds and
Mm,
unity. And Grace, you were talking about this earlier that,
mm,
we're spiritual beings, right? And so there's something bigger going on here, right?
mm,
Because ultimately, on the other side of the veil, I'm sure you guys hear this from the higher self, like they don't even really see a big difference one soul to another. They kind of get a little confused, when we're like, you know, trying to, if I'm asking questions that are aligned with my human thought process of, you know, Bob's soul, right? Or Bob's past lives. And then the higher self is kind of like, well, yeah, but he's connected to all this other stuff over here and these other experiences. And the way I explain it is it's like on the other side of the veil, think jello, not concrete, right? Everything's kind of squishy and not very separated, right? And ultimately, we're all one soul, right? We're all source,
Yep.
right?
mm,
So, what about the bonds and the unity, like that go beyond the human experience when it comes to friendship?
mm,
I think people actually are starting to recognize where their attraction to somebody that comes into their life is beyond the current.
Mm.
They know there is something there that tells them that they know this person and they've known them for a very long time.
mm.
Mhm.
More and more and more people are becoming aware of that. I hear that quite often, about, through a session, somebody talking about a friend of theirs, and it's like, oh, I have a feeling we've been together for many lifetimes, and of course you can gauge that in the family people around you too, your own physical family. You know that you've been playing roles with them for eons.
Or not.
Or not,
Or
yes.
not, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's also like, the unity of us all in a way, like when we talked, Holly, about loneliness, that we all feel that at one point and another in our lives. We all have some struggles. We all know what suffering is. We all know what love is, or at least a perception of love. And I feel that's what unites us, like this, like we all beings of, the universe, if you may. There's no real difference apart from maybe, it's like, I'm thinking about this library. Let's say we're in the library and each of us is a different book. One can be a comic book, one can be like a, fiction, another could be a like a Vogue magazine, right? Or a book on politics or history. But we're all books. We're all in this library. So we all united in that way, we're
Yeah.
made out of the same thing.
We just have different experiences.
Different
It's as simple as
experiences,
that.
yeah. Yes, different
And
expressions.
personalities and interests and yeah.
I
Yeah.
think Osho said it's about not like you are me, I'm you. No, it's like I am I and you are you. We're unique. We're beautiful,
Yeah.
unique beings.
Mhm.
Let's
Mhm.
be curious about
Mhm.
each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Which brings up, like, when it comes to friendship, what about our furry friends?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I know my furry friend, my beautiful ginger cat, has definitely got some other connection. Without a doubt, I swear he was just dropped on the planet for me.
Mm.
Fully grown.
Mm.
It's just there to take.
Mhm. And you feel
But
like you've
yeah,
known him before?
I'm very aware of there being another connection there.
Mm. Mhm.
Very much so, very much so. But yeah, I mean, they are so connected to us. And it's so fascinating to hear, particularly with a lot of pets are taking on the illnesses of their owners as
Mm.
well.
Mhm.
That is really something interesting to observe.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. I actually had in session, someone had a question about their sick. I'm pretty sure it was a dog. I can't remember if it was a dog or a cat, but I'm pretty sure it was a dog. And the higher self said that the dog was transmuting
yeah,
the energy for the person. They were basically sacrificing themselves for the health of
yeah.
the human. Yeah.
Yes, I
You
had
you
this.
extend that into therapy animals too. I mean, what heroes are they?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Hey,
Yeah, they're
yeah.
not just one. They're working with many.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
I
no,
really
that's
made
a huge
peace.
role.
Like, I had a cat who was dying, and I had this experience when I could just almost like merge with his breath, and we became one. And it's like, wow. And then so after this experience, he physically passed away, and I thought we are one. It's not just us humans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're all beings, just in different form. It doesn't matter what it is. It's it's a tree, it's a rock, or whatever. We're all beings. We've all got
Right.
consciousness.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever had the experience of knowing your own past lives as not human, as an animal on Earth?
Hmm.
I can't say that I have as an animal. No.
Mm-hmm.
I had only like not QHHT during breathwork an experience when I was so just breathing
Mm-hmm.
and listening to the music, and I was a frog.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
But that was just this experience of becoming a frog, being a frog. I'm not sure if it's a past life per se, or just an expression of all, into one form.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did
I've
have
had the experience as an ant, an insect, and two different kinds of bats, like a little
Wow.
tiny cave bat and then a great big giant fruit bat.
Right.
And the hilarious part is, which it is hilarious because the higher self showed me that to be funny, is that I don't have many phobias, but one of my phobias is of bats.
Makes sense.
So they wanted to show me that the firsthand experience of having been a bat and like, you don't need to be afraid of us. I'm still afraid of you.
Many clients do have those past lives, if you may, being an animal. And I think they're amazing too, or being a rock or a flower, there's just those different forms.
Mhm. Yeah.
I once had an apprentice angel in that's what he was in the life that we went to, and he wanted to fast track, and so he had a lot of discouragement, but he wanted to fast track, and so he was sent to Earth to incarnate, but he had to go through several different existences, several different planes of existence, so vegetation and animals, and the very last incarnation before coming in as a human, they said it was going to be the closest thing to a human. So what do you think that was?
Ooh, I would have said it would be a pet, an animal, a dog or a cat, a domesticated animal.
Very good. Yes, it was a
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going through my mind thinking, what's a connection with primates?
Right. Gorilla,
Like
chimpanzee. Yeah.
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 There's so many amazing, like I remember like very funny little story about a person being a rock.
Mhm.
And the rock was saying, "Oh, I'm so small and tiny. I wish I was that big rock. I could see what's on the other side."
A dissatisfied rock.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It's just so funny. One lady was, I remember she was a lotus flower and went to that life, and it was a resting place. So
Oh,
she,
yeah.
after a very traumatic lifetime, she was just a lotus flower and resting in
Mhm.
them.
And rested. Yeah. Yeah. The life I had of the bat, one of the important days, this was the cave bat, was giving birth. I was a female bat. So think about, how do bats give birth, right? Because when they're resting, they're upside down, right? They're a mammal. So they're going to give birth to live, right? And so what, are they going to push the baby out upside down? That doesn't make any sense, right? That sounds really, really hard. And so sure enough, the bat was like on all fours on a shelf in the cave to give birth. And then I thought, oh my God, every biologist should have a QHHT session and go be the animal that they study, and then they're going to find out all these things about the animal that they study that they wouldn't know otherwise. I didn't know that's how bats gave birth. I'm not sure anybody knows that's how bats give birth.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy, 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 crazy. Yeah, our furry friends are important. Really, really, really important.
Absolutely. There's no question, particularly with people that are on their own too. They've had a partner or whatever, and the partner's passed away, and they've got something there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
They are
mutual,
so
right?
loving.
It's mutual for
Yeah.
a person as well to be able to offer love and give love to another. There's this need in us all, not only to receive love, but to give love.
Yeah. Grace, you've used this term quite a bit, of trust, right? Of being able to trust. So I want to get into that. But first, Let's share how people can connect with you, what you've got going on, any kind of special things you want people to know about your work, and websites, email addresses, anything like that. So Grace, how can people get a hold of you? How can people be your client, not your friend? I'm just kidding.
Well, it's very easy because if you put Grace Love QHHT in the Google search, I'll come up straight away. And if you add Adelaide, for sure I'm gonna be there. And the website is www.graceloveqhht.com. So it's very easy to find.
Very good. Very good. And Judy, how do people get a hold of you?
My website is mylifespurpose.com.au. But once again, Google search Judy Cocu, QHHT, it all comes up. Not to forget to mention the QHHTofficial.com website,
Yes.
where if you're interested in sessions, you can find us on there with all our information. Email, phone, everything's on there as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
find any other practitioners, right?
Yeah.
Wherever the person is located, because these sessions are only in person, not online. So
Right.
Exactly.
QHHTofficial.com, and then you can sort by location, by country, and then by city,
Yep.
and find someone for you. Cool. So there's a lot of people out there and we see them in session, that have had very challenging lives and doing wonderful jobs, healing from their traumas. But sometimes these people find it really, really, really hard to find a friend because they've been hurt before. I mean, like sometimes physically. And so building trust, like how do you get over that kind of trauma or challenges and learn to trust somebody? What have you guys heard? What does a higher self have to say? What kind of advice? How do you
Very
learn how to
often
do
comes
that?
back to trusting your initial impression. If there's something a bit flaky or something that just doesn't feel right, your intuition is your very, very best guide as to what might proceed with that person as regards honesty and integrity. That's my guide anyway, but generally it all comes out in sessions that way. Just trust your intuition. Never doubt it. Just trust that about yourself. So it's trusting self in all situations, whether it's appropriate for you or it isn't.
Yeah.
And even the most skilled con artist out there will have something that gives them away. There'll be something, some tiny little thing that doesn't add up. And if the person is trusting of their own intuition, they'll pick it up.
Yeah, it all depends on the person, obviously, because the higher self gives like customized, suggestions and healing. But very often it's like it will be a few things. One is like, you got me and I've got you. So you're right, just trust me. Which, we can talk about intuition, higher self, gut feeling. Very often higher self will say, just observe. Don't rush. Just take your time observing. Don't believe in just whatever people say. Just see if the words match the actions.
Yeah.
Don't rush. The true friend will be the one who's, it's a long-term thing. It's not just gonna just jump in and you might know, but there's also this like, okay, build the trust. Don't just think like it's gonna be anyone. Even though, like for me, it's like it's the other way around. It's like I trust almost everybody, and some people say it's naive, but I know that we all made out of this essence. We all have the capacity to love and trust. So that's what we are. So it's just, I leave that up to the other person to decide if they want to build that friendship too.
Yeah.
Okay. By the action.
I think though, I think some people that haven't, how do I say this? Maybe they haven't completed their own healing yet, and they actually are attracted to people that aren't trustworthy.
True.
And and I think, Grace, I think you hit on this. The higher self, I think, will often say, well, you have to befriend yourself first, right? You have to love yourself first. You you absolutely can't be in relation with anyone else unless you know you, right? So there's a lot of work there to be done for some people, and even knowing what their gut tells them, because they might have spent decades shutting down their feelings, drinking their feelings away, or distracting themselves from their feelings because there was some healing to be done.
I think the only thing that I would like to add to this is whoever is listening to not to feel like they are to blame,
Yeah.
that they because this is like generation after generation, these things, how we evolve or evolving or changing as species, right, as human beings. So it might not necessarily, like, if something happened to a child, right,
Right.
it's not like it's an adult's fault and that they have to do all this healing by themselves. Like, it's like we all in this together, it's like, I think it was Leela Watson. I often say that with, when I'm with clients, Leela Watson, Aboriginal woman, and she doesn't even claim these words as her own. She said these words belong to everybody. If you're coming here to help me, you're wasting your time. But if your liberation is bound to mine, we can work together. It's this mutuality, like we're in this together. And I'm pretty sure, Judy and Holly, that you have experienced that with clients. I always have got something for me. It's
Absolutely.
like,
Absolutely.
Every
wow,
session.
so appreciative. Like, I feel so honored. Like, oh yeah, this is what I needed to hear. So it's not just we helping these people, they help us too.
Yeah.
And I often say further, wow, what you just said, it's really, it moved me. I'm going to share it with my children, with people I meet. It's like this ripple effect, right? That goes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something I'd like to add here too, which is it's cropped up so much in the last few years, where there has been the dropping away of long-term friendships for many people. And they're bothered. People are bothered by it. They haven't sort of quite understood why somebody they've been friends with for so long, all of a sudden they're out of their life. So that bears a little bit of discussion here, because I'm sure so many people out there have experienced exactly that, but don't understand why.
So, Judy, what do you think's going on?
Well, they no longer match frequency-wise. So, we're all developing at different rates. We all have different experiences. We learn differently, and some people are very slow to learn and others are quite fast. And some people have a lot dumped in their lap and all of a sudden, and so they have to quickly step up, whereas others just don't want to know about it, blah, blah, blah. So they no longer match in that frequency range where they can be friends. A relationship may become antagonistic because of that. You don't meet. So for those that have accelerated their growth and left people behind, it's not necessarily something to mourn, but it's more likely something to celebrate within yourself, that you have moved on, and you're looking for a different quality in friendships, as opposed to the quality of the friendship that has been let go. It's nothing bad, and it's nothing about you and your personality per se. It's just that you don't match each other any further.
Yeah.
It's also possible that, when these friendships end, is like we have offered so much as well. And it's like this person may need something else from someone else that we might not be
Of
able to
course.
offer.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm.
Mhm.
And there's the bifurcation. There's the new earth, right? There's the dimensional shift of the earth itself. And some people have incarnated to have the experience at one dimension, and other people have incarnated to have the experience at another dimension.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
I follow this channeler, Ann Tucker. I'm become a huge fan of hers. She channels from a group of beings from the angelic realm, is just what they call themselves. And she just recently channeled about this very subject, and how um, and Dolores wrote this back in 2011 with Three Waves of Volunteers in the New Earth. And so so here we are in 2025 with continuing information about this, that literally you will forget about people, like your brain will be erased of people that don't resonate. They aren't at the same frequency. You can't see them,
Yeah.
even though you might have been friends at one point in time, but you've shifted different dimensions. And not that one dimension is better than another, but just that, their life path took them to that dimension, and your life path took you to this dimension, and you will literally forget about them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. Well, and it's kind of like, incarnating and having this plan of knowing you're gonna, you have this plan of meeting family members or whatever, but not really knowing the full story. Like, I mean, here's my example. So I've been married to my husband for 34 years, but I met him when I was 26 or 27, and he's Native American. And so a brown-skinned guy. And I remember as a little kid, no, was it first grade or second grade? It was either first grade or second grade. I was attracted to the brown guys. Like, I
Nice.
came in with that, and I grew up in a rural part of the South in the United States where there weren't a lot of brown guys, like almost none. But I was programmed, if you will, to find him. And at a very, very, very early age, I just had this sense. I mean, I had no idea that, it was a reincarnation thing and we were supposed to meet each other and be together and yada yada. But you just have this sense of knowing, oh, I like these kinds of people, right? Because it was setting you up to find the person that you knew you were supposed to find, right? And then it turns out we've had other than two incarnations, we have literally had hundreds of incarnations together. And the day he met me, he told his friend he was going to marry me. And I told him, he kept asking me out, and I told him no for a year before I said yes. Today, I thank God for his persistence.
Yep. When you know, you know.
Yeah. But I think there's that too. There's the dropping away of people, and then there's the remembering of people, right? Oh,
Yeah.
I know you. I know you, not from here, not from this life, but I know you, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes,
Maybe it's
I've
also
similar
like,
experience with my husband. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
yeah,
interesting, isn't it? But what gets me is the maneuvering of getting you where you need to go. I am constantly amazed at how that happens.
Oh, it's absolutely crazy. Like, I mean, I lived in LA when I met him, and I had these other, I'd been married before. I had these other life experiences, And I mean, just the dominoes, just the, well, if this hadn't happened, then that wouldn't have happened. And then if that hadn't happened, then that wouldn't have happened. And yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep, it's incredible.
Wow.
Yeah,
Constantly in
this
awe.
book came to my mind, Celestine's Prophecy. I don't know if you've read that. I think they made a movie based on that too. When you meet people and they walk away, or you don't meet them ever again, if you got the message, it's like this, like everybody you meet has got a message for you of some sort. I thought that was really wonderful to, to just appreciate, because then you pay attention more to everybody. Oh, what's the message for me?
Mhm. Yeah.
I'd just quickly like to relate a little story there.
Yeah.
I had a client that had was checking out of a hotel, and this young man in front of her turned around and gave her this enigmatic smile, and she really wanted to dash after him. So she told me this, and then when she had her session, she lost a son in a particular life through horrific circumstances, and every lifetime she had been looking for him.
Oh,
And when she saw this young man, it was if to say, I'm okay, because she always wondered, and it was all it was just a little smile.
wow.
And that
I've
was
got
it.
chills.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
same. There's like, I think 8 episodes. I can't remember the title of the series on Netflix. It's made by Korean production. It's just exactly that story. Like we're meeting
Really?
each other, and then
Yeah.
she said, "I'm gonna find you in my next life."
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Geez, it's going to be fun going back, isn't it? Doing this life.
Yeah. 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 Isn't that fascinating? Isn't that fascinating? Wow.
Certainly is.
About Polly, like I on the poster we talked about sacred.
Hmm.
What about sacredness of
Yeah.
friendship and
Yeah. What do you think about that? That whole, yeah, that's the coming together energetically to me and in real life, not online, that importance of being together, right?
Mhm.
to me when I hear sacred, or it's like this divinity, in us, in each of
Mm.
us.
Mhm.
Like, do we recognize this divinity in each other and in clients when they come?
I think
It's
too, um, I think in modern life we've lost a lot of ceremony that brought that sacredness into community, you know?
Mm.
Like one thing that comes to mind is coming of age ceremonies, right? So I had a client several months ago, and where I live in Colorado. We're surrounded by Native American reservations of different tribes, and this gentleman was from one of those tribes, and he had grown up tribally. There's some members of the tribe that still retain their very ancient ways, and that's how he had grown up. And he was telling me about their coming of age ceremony that he went through, and he was preparing his son to go through his coming of age ceremony. And I love these. My Native American clients get QHHT like nobody else. Like they get it. They really get it. But he was telling me about his coming of age ceremony and how, it was like 3 or 4 days, and he had certain physical challenges that he had to go through. And of course, there were dances and feasts, and the whole community came together, and songs, and a very specific ceremony that had to happen, but it happened on his behalf. He was like being feted, he was being recognized. And the day after his coming of age ceremony, his father, the meaning of the ceremony, and I think they did this when they're 13 or 15, I can't remember, but they're still a teenager. his father became his brother.
Mm.
Isn't that interesting? So the language he used to refer to his father and mother were no longer father and mother. They were big brother and big sister. So the
Right.
literal shifting of the
Yes.
concept of the relationships.
Wow.
And we've lost all of that. I can't think. I mean, we have weddings, but they're more like just parties. You know, we don't even have funerals anymore. Since COVID, we don't even have funerals anymore. You know, it's like some sort of weird online Zoom thing for a funeral. And so we have lost almost every ceremony that brings us together. I don't know. Maybe you guys do better in Australia than we do in the
Yeah, I was
States.
just gonna say because there's quite a lot happening here in Australia. Maybe because I've got a teenage boy, so I was looking for it, like looking out for it, trying to find it. And there's a lot of like men groups when they meet, and I organized my son to go to it's called like a men's weekend, and they go on the island and they spend 3 days there, and it's initiation to manhood.
Mm.
For women here, there's like the red tents and women's circles. I haven't found the one for like teenage girls, so I plan to do it myself with my daughter, but maybe something
What
more.
is it? What is the red tent? What does that
So
mean?
red tent is like the when for women, it's got an old history in the Middle East. Where there's two stories. One story is like maybe not so positive when women were just they were gone to the red tent when they were menstruating,
Oh,
were not welcomed in a community. But then also there became this other school when there's a red tent where women actually meet to connect and celebrate womanhood, motherhood. And that's what's popping out, and it's quite popular here. I think in America it's also popular, and they made a documentary on that.
mm,
But it doesn't have to be called red tent. It can be called a women's circle. And
mm.
when I attend women's circles, it's we massage, each other. We might be doing some foot massages, all the nice girly things, and share wisdom, sharing wisdom from uh, uh, older women who I really honor because,
Mm.
one day I will be 60 and 70 or
Mm.
80, so I want to know what's coming too and how to best prepare myself for that stage. And then sharing it for younger women. So, for example, about relationships or about becoming a mother. So it's beautiful way of connecting and celebrating each other, this way.
And do you consider that act sacred?
I consider it sacred because we recognize each other's divinity in there. Yeah, like we're the same. We
Mhm. And said
beautiful
in
and
that ceremony sets aside the time, to me, sets
mm,
aside the time to recognize that
mm,
sacredness, that bond. Yeah.
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Yes,
Judy,
we've
any
lost a lot.
ceremonies that you wish you had, or maybe that you want everybody else to know about that bring in that sacred part of the unity?
Well, it's rather interesting. It sort of hasn't really crossed my path in that way at all. I certainly understand how the wisdom can be passed down through the different generations.
Mhm.
And I'm at that upper end that you mentioned, Grace. I mean, I'm a great grandmother now, but it's just by the time you get to this age, you have accumulated so much wisdom and you've
We bow to
observed
you.
so much of life, and it would be nice to actually pass that on in a more formalized or recognized but equally loving way,
Mhm.
uh, because it just isn't there, or it hasn't been there. in normal mainstream sort of existence. So obviously there's room to create more of those sorts of opportunities, particularly for older people, because then it gives them a connection to the other generations as well. Rather than sort of just floating around in their own generation, they can cross several generations and still be able to participate and pass on some knowledge.
Yeah. All right, we're running out of time. We do have some comments here. So some people saying, yeah, they've definitely lost some long-term friends. And then what about quinceañera? Yeah, we do have quinceañera, which is when a girl is 15. So we have like a coming of age ceremony there when I've forgotten about that. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you for being with me tonight. Any last words on friendship, true friendship, bonds and unity? Guys?
Just be friends with yourself.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Judy.
I said be friends with yourself.
Yeah. Yep.
And I want to say be a friend to someone. So rather than looking out for friends, be one.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being
it's been
on.
fun.
Thank you,
Holly.
everybody in the audience. And yeah, go make a friend and go be friends with yourself. Absolutely. All right.